Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Riffs. Thought I'd talk about finding your niche in outdoor adventure podcasting this week, or today. First of all, a brief story on how I got started in podcasting. Many of you may have heard it. I was working for a company in the Bay Area, had a 1-hour one-way commute. So I was doing a lot of windshield time, and I started listening to podcasts at that time. Tim Ferriss was just hitting his stride, Pat Flynn, a couple other guys. Podcasting was just getting to be a thing. And I listened to the Tim Ferriss show all the time. And it just occurred to me that, let's back up a little bit. I got laid off from that job. And, a lot of us saw this coming. The company was being sold to where resumes were going out all over the place. And now I wasn't getting any action. So I thought, well, man, this might be it. Maybe I aged out or I don't know, whatever. Thought a bunch of things and thought I got to come up with something new. And listening to the Tim Ferriss show, I thought maybe I could start a podcast about the outdoor business. And did a little research, figured out what it was going to take. I had some of the equipment already. Everybody has always told me I had a good voice, so I thought, let's see what this takes. So messed around a little bit, started the Outdoor Biz podcast, and it just hit the ground running right out of the gate. I got a lot of great feedback, positive vibes. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. Podcasts have grown a lot since then. I think I was the only outdoor business-related podcast at the time. Now there's a bunch of outdoor podcasts. I'm sure you listen to many more other than mine. So they're a big thing. Don't hesitate. Don't let that stop you, though. There's plenty of room for everybody. And I think the goal of this talk is just to walk you through how to get started. It's pretty simple. I was surprised at how simple it was. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. So the first thing is you want to have a passion for outdoors and sharing stories, obviously. Most of you that are listening to the show have a passion for outdoors, and stories is where it's at. People love stories. I did my interview show and basically share the great stories of all the people I've been fortunate to meet and know in the outdoor space. You can come up with a different angle on that. You can come up with something in specific activity you're passionate about, but just find something that's you're gonna stick with, because you don't want to be like a lot of folks and start and get 3 episodes out there and burn out. And it helps you grow a community of like-minded individuals, hikers, adventurers, travelers, rafters, fishermen, whatever it is. So you'll start a community like my community's grown. We get a bunch of downloads every month on my show, and it's a great community of people. I engage with them through a newsletter, so you can grow a community similar to that. And there's potential for networking with outdoor industry experts. There's a lot of people that know a lot of things about some of these activities that you don't, or that I don't, or that we don't. And they're always willing to share, and they make for great opportunities to talk to them about on your podcast. And it's an opportunity to inspire others to explore the outdoors. I know a lot of us think the outdoors are getting crowded, but there's plenty of space, plenty of opportunity to inspire others to explore the outdoors. So those are a couple of reasons why you want to start. And then you want to choose your podcast theme and niche. It's important to narrow down the focus of your podcast. If you go too broad, you'll mean nothing to nobody, and you want to be pretty niche down, like focus on adventure travel or hiking tips or ecotourism or wildlife photography, whatever you're into. I mean, I reference this on my show a lot. There's an article by Kevin Kelly about 1,000 true fans. You really only need 1,000 true fans to follow you. If you had 1,000 people following you or 1,000 people subscribe to a newsletter that paid you $1 every week, that'd be doing pretty good. So narrow the focus, right? Focus in something you believe in. I guarantee you there's at least 1,000 people that love that as well. And then understand your target audience. What are they interested in? Maybe do a little quick survey of them, find out the demographics, what their age ranges are, and so forth. That'll help you focus your show a little more. Again, adventure travelers, outdoor enthusiasts, gear junkies, whatever it is, those are examples of niche focuses. Some others are solo wilderness travel, family camping, bird watching. The sky's the limit. There's so many outdoor activities you can talk about. And then just to go over the gear real quickly, some of the basic equipment you need a microphone. Entry level will do fine. I think my microphone is under $100. It's an ATR 2100. I've got like 4 of them. They work great. They work great when I'm doing it remotely, whether I'm sitting here in the studio. That's something that you're going to need. You're going to need some recording software. There's free options like Audacity or paid options like Audition from Adobe if you have the Adobe products. I personally use Audition and I love it. And then you need a place to host your show. I host mine with Libsyn, and I'll give you a coupon to get a discount from Libsyn. But Libsyn, I think, is the best. They've been doing it since podcasts started. The beauty of putting it on Libsyn is once it goes on to Libsyn, then they will push it out to all the other places. So that's how my show gets on all the other apps, is through Libsyn. So that's pretty important. But there's others. There's like Buzzsprout, Anchor's gone, but there's a handful of places to host your show. But again, I recommend Libsyn. And then tips for recording outdoors. You want to make sure you have your noise reduction process down to a science, to a T. Again, the ATR 2100 is a good mic for using to record outdoors. I use that a lot. You want to have a windscreen on it to make sure that buffers some of that wind noise if you do. And then if you can find a place to record outside but out of the wind, that's the best. I record outside a lot, so I wouldn't let that scare you. And then the other thing is you want to plan and record your first 2 to 3 minutes of your episode. That way, and you want to repeat that first 2 to 3 minutes and last 2 to 3 minutes. You want that to be your show intro and your show outro. The reason you want that to be the same is because so people know when they drop in, they're in the right place. Sometimes they'll drop in and they'll think they picked your podcast, but they picked something else, and it's like, this doesn't sound like Rick. So you want to record that. It's pretty important to have a content plan or outline for that, so your intro can be really tight. And decide on a release schedule, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. Maybe you don't want to do it all the time, but you want to be consistent, again, so people know when you're going to be on and dropping episodes. Some tips for recording interviews. Whatever you decide to do, just be yourself. Talk about naturally, talk about yourself, talk about the guest, talk about the topic, whatever it is. I would create an outline for every episode. I do that for mine. I send the questions to my guest in advance so we all know what's going on so we don't stumble. If you are going to use guests, you can find guests on LinkedIn. You can find guests from your network. Just reach out to people on LinkedIn or Facebook. I think people love to come on podcasts these days, so it's pretty simple. You want to prep them before they come on, what to expect, how to record. I use Zoom these days when I'm doing guest recording. I can have 2 or 3 guests on. I can have 1 guest on. We both get separate audio. That works out pretty good. And you would just want to create a smooth flow for your solo episodes or your guests, so it makes it easier on you. Editing essentials, you want to have some tools to clean the audio, remove the noise, trim unnecessary parts. Like I said, Adobe Audition is great for that. There's some other tools like Auphonic to help you clean up the episode. If you haven't ever worked with audio, I'd go online and look at a couple of YouTube classes on how to do audio podcasts. That'll help you a bunch. Create episode titles and descriptions that are engaging to your listeners and clarify what they're going to hear, who they're going to hear from. You want to have an intro and outro with background music. That way, again, the guest knows he or she is in the right place. And those outros and intros are calls to action, too. Not only tells them where they're at, but it says, hey, be sure to subscribe to my newsletter, or be sure to follow me on the socials, or whatever. And then be familiar with all the publishing platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts is no more, so you don't have to worry about that. But I would just shoot it off to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and call it good. That way you get on to all the right places, at least to start with. Promoting and growing your podcast, you want to build a social media presence. You might think about having a separate Instagram and Twitter and Facebook page for those. That way people can interact specifically for that. You can drop the show specifically in that place. You won't get caught up in your other social feeds. You can partner with outdoor brands and influencers for exposure. You can post it on outdoor forums or check in with them, make sure they're cool with you dropping your episode there. You want to use SEO-friendly titles and keywords to boost discoverability. And then you want to encourage listener interaction through the reviews, feedback, and questions process. I'm always asking people to give me some feedback on how you thought that went. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you not like? I've done a survey of my audience a couple times now just to get some demographics, find out who they are, and again, get some other feedback. That's a quick way to get info from your guests. And then some final tips. Consistency is key. Don't be discouraged by slow starts. Don't be discouraged by once a week for a couple of months. That's not a problem. Or once a month for a couple of months. Just get going and get started and make sure you like it. If you don't like it, you can stop after 4 or 5 episodes because you might not like it. But if you're like me, you'll love it. I love it. It's a blast. The key is just to keep on improving. Get feedback and evolve your content. You want to tweak your questions now and again, tweak your specifics of your content now and again just to keep it fresh for you and keep it fresh for your listeners. The outdoor community is a supportive community, and they will engage with you and your listeners, so don't hesitate to reach out to them for feedback as well. Your voice and your story matter, so start sharing it today. Hopefully that encourages you to take action and start brainstorming your podcast ideas today. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. I'm always here to share my knowledge and expertise with you. Rick@ricksays.com is the best way to reach me. And when we do get started, let me know. Maybe we can have you on my show and you can share your journey of starting your podcast. Be sure to check out episode 467 next week, dropping October 15th, with writer, climate scientist, and backcountry skier Anneka Williams. Anneka talks about her role as a climate scientist, and she has some great tips on sustainability actions we can take in our daily lives to reduce our impact on the planet.